Welcome to this orientation on the updated Zoning and Development Bylaw, which comes into effect on November 14th, 2022. My name is Diana Leung, a planner with the Regulation Redesign project, and I will be narrating this recorded presentation on the unceded ancestral territories of the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh peoples. The City of Vancouver is excited to bring forward the newly reformatted zoning bylaw. This was a collaborative effort shaped by both public and staff feedback. Many thanks to all of those who helped shape this work. This presentation begins with some background on the Regulation Redesign project and timing of the updated bylaw. Next, we'll go through the bylaw updates and then go over the resources available to support the transition to the updated bylaw. Let's start with an overview of the Regulation Redesign project. Regulation Redesign was a corporate priority project to simplify land use regulations and related information as a step towards simplifying permit processing. It is one of a number of city initiatives underway to do this, including work to simplify the rezoning and development permit application processes, permit and license modernization, and various operational improvements coordinated by the Development, Building, and Licenses Department. Why did we update the Zoning and Development Bylaw? At the beginning of the project, we asked the industry and staff to identify the key issues with the city's land use regulations. Over 450 staff and industry members said very similar things, which were that it's hard to find the information, and when you can, it's hard to understand it, and that there are conflicts across regulations and policies which result in inconsistent interpretation and application of regulations. These four issues help to focus Regulation Redesign's work. Based on this feedback, the key objectives of the Regulation Redesign project were to simplify and clarify land use regulations, modernize zoning bylaw regulations and wording, and improve the format, improve consistency and communication, and establish protocols for enduring land use framework. To do this work, we worked closely with a group of 16 industry experts and did a lot of engagement with staff and industry over the course of this project. The work to reformat the bylaw was really focused on making it easier to understand and administer. There is still more work to do on simplifying land use regulations. The scope of this project didn't include substantive policy work, and there are no significant regulatory changes in terms of what can be built or renovated. That work is underway through the implementation of the Vancouver Plan and Broadway Plan. As a quick overview of what has changed in the reformatted Zoning and Development Bylaw, the page formatting of the entire bylaw has been updated to make it searchable and more accessible. The wording has been updated so there is more consistency and clarity in the administrative sections and general regulations and the district schedules. We did not update the CD1s or general schedules as that is being done as part of other work. We have also made related updates to various land use plans, policies, guidelines, bulletins, as well as other bylaws to update terms and section references so that they align with the Zoning and Development Bylaw. We've also made similar updates to application checklists and document libraries, and we've introduced a new digital zoning map. The link is in Schedule D of the Zoning and Development Bylaw on the Land Use and Document Library. Council approved and enacted the updated bylaw in July of this year, with a delayed effective date of November 14th. Since then, we have been working on updates to the document library, which will go live on the 14th, and developing resources to assist with the transition of the new bylaw. We'll talk about those later in the presentation. We will continue to receive feedback on the reformatted bylaw and land use regulations, and in the new year, we will report back to Council with any cleanup that is needed and other regulatory amendments to further simplify and clarify regulations. Now I will go through the updates to the bylaw in more detail. This slide shows the four key features of the bylaw update. Enhanced document navigation and accessibility, which includes links to other sections of the bylaw. This improved document accessibility means that the new format is designed for digital viewing with the most common screen readers, as well as for common types of low vision challenges. Another feature is clear regulations that are more consistent with guidelines and policies, aligned with current practice and terminology, and these are supplemented with explanatory diagrams. The updated bylaw also consolidates regulations and definitions that were repeated throughout the bylaw. You will find those consolidated in Section 2 and 10 to improve clarity, consistency, and ease of finding information. Lastly, a set of document standards have been developed to ensure that future changes to the bylaw follow the same consistent format. As an overview, the bylaw continues to be organized in three parts: the administrative sections and general regulation sections, which apply across the city, the district schedules, which apply to specific areas of the city and specific sites, and the general schedules, which are also broader in application. When reviewing development opportunities for a site, it is important to review all sections of the bylaw and the relevant district schedules when determining what can be built or renovated on a site. I will provide an overview of each of these sections and the relevant updates. The key updates to the administrative and general regulation sections. These regulatory updates are primarily to enhance the clarity and alignment, and in some cases, the changes was to provide more flexibility and support efficiency in permit processing. Section 1 is updated to align with zoning bylaws in Canada and includes a clarified intent statement for the bylaw. A new section is also added to specify what contents form the official part of the bylaw and what is provided solely for explanatory purposes. The new defined terms are added to Section 2, definitions, and I'll get into those later on in the presentation. In Section 10, regulations that apply to many districts are consolidated here. Some examples include acoustic regulations and porch projections. In Section 11, the sections are reorganized by land use categories. And in both Section 10 and Section 11, an index has been added to assist with wayfinding. Several administrative and general sections are reorganized to remove the deleted parking section and to improve the order of the chapters. The sections relocated includes amendments to the bylaw, general prohibitions, building lines, enforcement, penalties, repeal of previous bylaws, and effective date of the bylaw. Next, we'll delve into Section 2, the definition section. Starting first with new land use definitions. 3 new multiple dwellings uses, apartment, townhouse, and triplex, are added while continuing to keep multiple dwelling as a use in the bylaw. The new terms existed in the district-specific guidelines, but not within the bylaw. Adding these terms to the bylaw will enable the bylaw to be more clear in articulating the rules to these specific uses. The 2 highlighted uses, dwelling units in conjunction with, and residential unit associated with and forming an integral part of an artist studio, were land uses that only existed in the district schedule portion of the bylaw. It was unclear whether these were separate land uses or how they should be treated. In the updated bylaw, mixed-use residential building becomes an official land use defined in Section 2 as a dwelling use and replaces dwelling units in conjunction with. Similarly, residential unit associated with an artist studio is also added to Section 2 as a dwelling use. The remaining term highlighted here will be replaced with the defined term on the right column. The intent of this change is to bring clarity, consistency, and alignment with other Canadian cities and jurisdictions, and to ensure that the term reflects the built form rather than its occupants. These 8 new defined terms have been introduced to help clarify regulations and to reduce repetition in the district schedules. Where applicable, the definitions are supplemented with explanatory diagrams to help explain what terms refer to and how they are regulated.
Next, let's take a tour of the district schedule format. The new format is applied to all district schedules such as the R, C, I, M, and HA districts. The new format has not been applied to the comprehensive districts such as First Shaughnessy or the CD1s.
Here is a side-by-side snapshot of the current versus new format. The new format converts a text-heavy document into one that locates key regulations in the table, supplements complex information with explanatory diagrams to help with them, and integrates hyperlinks to help with easy navigation and to other relevant regulations and district-specific design guidelines and policies. We've also updated the structure of the contents to enhance the clarity of uses and forms of development permitted. In the new structure, Section 1 Intent is expanded to include an overview table of key uses permitted in the district. Sections 2 and 3 are consolidated into one permitted uses section. Out of the former Section 4 regulations, the new district schedule format contains a new Section 3 for the density and building form related regulations, which are organized by land use and subareas. General regulations that apply to all uses form the new Section 4. Where relaxations are provided in the district schedule, they remain in Section 5. In Section 1 of the district schedule, the new intent statement includes links to district-specific guidelines and policies. The overview table shows how the schedule is organized by form of development so that it's clear what rules apply to which form, and highlights the key types of development options intended for the district. The overview table is organized by site size, where there's a minimum site area requirement. The permitted uses table consolidates all uses into one section. The uses are organized by color-coded land use categories consistent with sections 2 and 11 of the bylaw. As an example, the retail uses category is coded as purple throughout the bylaw to cue users looking for this land use. The conditions of use regulations are consolidated into a new section 2.2 and the hyperlinks are provided adjacent to the uses they are related to. Section 3 includes density form and placement regulations, which in some districts are organized either by specific form of development or by sub-area. The density and floor area regulations are listed first, and the building form and placement regulations such as site area, height, and yards are organized in the table. Additional regulations related to form and placement regulations are located within the table by topic heading. Diagrams are provided to help visualize the regulations. Section 4 now includes regulations that apply to many or all forms of development, including how floor area is calculated and external design regulations. Where applicable, relaxations continue to be located in Section 5 of the district schedule.
Because the updated bylaw doesn't come into effect until November 14th, the official bylaw will not be available online until then. If you would like to preview the updated bylaw format prior to November 14th effective date, you can view the April 2022 version of the draft bylaw by visiting this URL as provided on this slide.
Now I will speak about the resources and assistance available to help with the transition to the new format. In order to help everyone adjust to the new format and the section numbers of the regulations, we are providing the following resources. On the Shape Your City website, there is a cross-reference guide that shows the old and new section numbers of the regulations, a summary list of all regulatory amendments that are made as part of the update, and this PowerPoint will also be posted there. On the zoning page of the Land Use Document Library, there is a step-by-step user guide for reference. You can also email Regulation Redesign, and we will be monitoring and responding as quickly as possible to inquiries and requests for support. This concludes our presentation on the updated zoning and development bylaw. Look for the updated zoning and development bylaw on the Land Use Document Library webpage by going to vancouver.ca/zoning-library on November 14th, 2022. On behalf of the Regulation Redesign team, thank you for sharing your time with us.